Okay. I think I should be up any second now. Just waiting to see myself pop up on the stream. Alright, yeah, I'm up. Good. Well, I'm gonna start the countdown first and then I'm gonna give the introduction. So the run is gonna start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright. Welcome everybody. I'm Leemyy and I'm running Rise of the Tomb Raider. I jumped in on relatively short notice. Damn it, I forgot who was supposed to run in my stead. But yeah, I've been running this game for quite a long time, but I stopped running it for a year now, and I only started to get back into it like a week ago. So I might still be a bit rusty, but it should be fine. D-Rust runs so far have been going very well. Anyways, since I just dropped in and wasn't really expecting this, my commentary might not be the best. But if you have any questions about the run, I have the stream chat open, so just go ahead and ask in the chat. Hey Zedo. So right here I'm quitting out to the main menu to do a trick. You'll see in a second. So yeah, that allows me to walk on air right here. You usually can't do that. We're not sure why it works way better when you quit out to the main menu. It also does work when you reload checkpoint, but it's frame perfect then. It might be because reloading from main menu causes a lag frame, which makes it easier to hit the right frame or something. Anyways, right now I'm out of bounds. Usually you're supposed to stay inbounds in this area, and this is kind of a tutorial for the movement in this game, and especially for climbing. But that's really slow, so we just go out of bounds and climb the mountain our own way. Right here I need to be careful to climb on these pillars. These are floating in the air, by the way, and the collision in this area is not shaped the same way it looks half the time. So learning this out of bounds is really tricky initially. And right now the game might crash, don't worry if it does. Okay, it didn't. But yeah, right there's like about a 30% chance that the game crashes when you get to that point. There's not much we can do about it. We just have a rule that if it does crash, you're allowed to pause the timer and just restart the game, and then you can continue from there. Anyways, this run has been going really well so far. Intro is like one of the biggest choking points for pretty much any runner in this game, just because it's pretty difficult to pull off and it's relatively long, and if you mess up at any point you might as well just restart the run because at that point you just lose over a minute, and restarting the run also just loses you over a minute. Yeah, the rest of this area is basically just casual play with some slight movement optimizations. Right here, for example, I was trying to grab the left side of that ledge to make Lara climb up more quickly, but she didn't cooperate. Oh yeah, Lara likes to grunt and everything a lot in the reboot games. Tomb Raider 2013 is actually even worse about that. But they're good speed games. Except for Shadow of the Tomb Raider isn't terrible, but it has 30 minutes of unskippable cutscenes, which is just... yeah, it's the main reason why almost no one runs Shadow at the moment. Oh wow, that was close. I should be paying more attention to the game. Oh, there we go. So after we've just hit by an avalanche on the mountain. Oh, you actually had Shadow. I didn't know that. Man, nobody posted about it in the Tomb Runner Discord, or at least I didn't see it. Maybe I just didn't pay enough attention. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Shadow run is pretty nice. I just don't like the cutscenes. And Rise has a similar amount of cutscenes, but you can skip all of them, so they only make up like 3 minutes of actual real time, and not 30. Anyways, I'm not here to trash talk Shadow. So yeah, I've just cleared the mountaintop, which is basically just climbing tutorial for the game, even though I skipped most of the tutorializing. And now we have a flashback to 2 weeks before in Syria. Thank you, Caddy. And yeah, now we are gonna learn a bit about why Lara was on that mountain in the first place. Except we're not really, because I'm gonna skip all of the cutscenes and half of the gameplay. So yeah, if you're worried about spoilers in this run, you don't really have to worry too much, because we skip a decent chunk of the game. So right here the camera really likes to mess with me and just pans over to the right. Oh, it didn't do it this time. A lot of times the camera just randomly pans over to the right there, and if you're not prepared for it, it'll usually make you just run off to the side and die, which always looks really impressive in runs. But this is just some relatively simple platforming and not much skips. There's a small skip here that you can't really see. There's a cutscene trigger mid-air there, and I just dropped so that I don't hit it. It looks really unimpressive because you don't actually see anything that I skipped, but I promise you I just managed to avoid a cutscene trigger. Now this small corridor is not very challenging, since you just have to hold W, but it does have a very rare species. It is the renowned flying scorpion. You might have heard of it, you probably haven't. But yeah, the scorpions in this tunnel are kind of buggy, and sometimes they just float around instead of walking on the walls as they supposedly should. But I can't really spot any gross offenders this time. Well, that's a shame. Right here I'm gonna reload the checkpoint because it's faster than waiting for Lara to stand up. And then here we get the first clip of the run. You're supposed to shoot that trap to get it out of your way, but instead I'm just gonna clip into it, and it's gonna push me underneath. It's gonna push me under the ground, like this. And now I just walked backwards out of bounds. And now I'm just gonna carefully maneuver out of bounds and swim to the end of this section. Right here, it looks like the water here is very wide, but it's actually a very narrow strip of water. And I have to make sure that I don't fall, but I also don't go inbounds too early. But I managed to do that just fine. Right here, because of the out of bounds I just did, the game is kind of in a weird state right here, so I need to reload checkpoint to make sure that I can actually move properly. Otherwise I would only be able to walk, and that's slow. And then here, there's a chance that I can get a boosted jump. I did. So yeah, right there, if you time your jump input properly there, you can just, for some reason, get a boosted jump. Now I'm gonna skip up. Well, let's try that again. I'm gonna skip, yeah, so you're supposed to raise the water level here in order to get higher, but you can just get up that slope by getting close to it and then using a melee attack to walk up it. For some reason, the melee attack, the melee animation and the roll animation in this game have higher priority than sliding down slopes. So whenever you melee or roll, you can go up a slippery surface. And then here there's another water puzzle, but again I'm just gonna skip it by climbing up that route. And now we're almost done with Syria. There's just a few more cutscenes that I'll skip. And then there's a short escape sequence where you're like supposed to run away from the collapsing area. So first I'm gonna shoot only one of these people, because if you shoot both, there's actually an earthquake and that slows Lara down. And then instead of taking the intended route, I'm gonna go along the side here, where the developers have nicely put in some narrow paths. And that saves about 10 to 15 seconds. But it is a bit more treacherous than it might appear. At least it's very annoying to learn, because while you're doing that escape sequence, there's actually a timer running in the background that gets refreshed when you progress along the escape. And if the timer runs out, you actually get hit by a rock and die. And because I'm taking the alternate path there, I'm actually not hitting any of the refreshes. And so if I take, like, pretty much if I take 2 seconds longer than I did right there, the timer is gonna run out and Lara's just gonna die. But yeah, now we reached the end of the flashback, and this is where Lara ended up after she got hit by that avalanche. So now Lara is apparently very cold, even though she's wearing 2 hoods. You can't really see it right now, except for that the texture in her hood looks kind of glitchy. But yeah, the game is kind of confused because of the out of bounds I did in the mountaintop. Lara is supposed to take off her hood at some point during the normal gameplay there, but I skipped that part, and so now the game is not sure whether Lara should be wearing her hood or whether her hood should be down. And that's why you can see her hair being rendered through her hood. Also, that jump that I just did was frame perfect. It doesn't really serve any purpose. But it's kind of a fun thing to go for, because this right here is pretty slow moving. But it's gonna speed up in just a minute. Yeah, that very Christmassy atmosphere indeed. Lara is just getting everybody in the mood for Christmas. This is just don't mind this. Lara is just taking care of this reindeer. It's totally not missing any of its entrails. It's just sleeping, guys. It's just sleeping. It's fine. Yes, Lara's hair is indeed magic. If you actually increase the graphics settings, like especially the graphics settings of her hair, Lara's hair actually also glows in the dark, which is pretty magical if you ask me. Right now I'm gonna get one special skill, Lightfoot, this one right here. And that allows me to do a roll after I land from a jump like this. And that's by far the fastest form of movement in this game. So you'll see me doing mostly that from now on, except in places where there's something impairing my movement. Deer don't sleep. I assure you, it was just sleeping. I don't know what you're talking about. Right now we're getting a warm welcome by this bear. When you play this casually, Lara actually formulates a very diabolical plan to kill this bear by gassing it. But that's just cruel, and I'm not into that. Also, don't worry about what's going on right now. This is clearly not cruel. This is just I'm scratching its head. That's what I'm doing. It's just it has a very bad itch on the back of its head, and I'm just helping it. See? That hits that spot. Anyways, if you play this casually, Lara wants to kill the bear, but that's slow. Also, that would be cruel, but mostly because it's slow. I'm not gonna do that. Instead, I'm just gonna go up the side of this hill that you can see on the left right here and skip all of that. But first, I need to learn how to heal myself. Because for some reason, Lara got, I guess, the bear swiped at her and her arm is injured, even though her, like, jacket isn't, like, there's no tear in her jacket. I don't even know how she injured herself there and how a bandage is gonna help her if it's not an external injury. But yeah, we need to learn how to heal. But with the new route, we actually don't ever use a single heal anymore. So if we could skip this part, we would, but sadly the next part of the game doesn't load in if you don't do that. Also, again, I reloaded checkpoint there because it gets me closer to where I need to go. Now I can actually go up the side of this hill if the game cooperates like that. Now I need to go back over to where I met the bear and leave again. And that was to hit a loading trigger for the next area. And now I need to hit another trigger that's in this cave. As you can see at top of the screen right now, I've got a quest update. Because otherwise this cutscene wouldn't trigger and I wouldn't be able to progress. Now I'm gonna take the alternate way down this hill. There is death planes here, but they are not very well placed, so you can just jump around them. And yeah, I'm out of bounds right now. Just taking the short way. And yeah, right after this barrier burns down, I'm gonna get the pistol, which is also not gonna see much use in the run. Hey, I actually managed to hit the window this time. In one of my recent runs, I somehow managed to miss that entire window when I was trying to shoot it. And yeah, I'm just ignoring all those guys. Yeah, I did 2 roll clips there. I kind of didn't really mention that. For some reason, in this area specifically, but pretty much in all the game, if there's a very thin wall and you just roll next to it and then jump, you can clip through it. Right here, I'm gonna do a... That was separate. There I just clipped through by grabbing a ledge. Right there I did another roll clip and I'm out of bounds again. Because we want to get to the other side of this bridge, but the bridge is broken, so we're just gonna take the way down below. Okay, didn't fall into the water. And now I'm just gonna climb back up on the other side. So yeah, usually you're supposed to take a huge detour through this area that's like kind of further down this hill. But if you just get to the other side of that bridge and then go up right here, you can take a way more direct path to where we want to go next. And in this case, that's the former Soviet Gulag that is situated up here. If it loads in, yeah, there we go. I don't know when Lara attained mountain goat DNA. It must have been some horrific experiment that went wrong during her youth. Right now we, for some reason, got captured by people because Lara didn't pay attention. But it doesn't matter because they put us into the worst prison cell ever. It literally just has a wall that's breaking down. Which actually just gets us into a next door room. Which is the weirdest room ever because this room right here is boarded up from the inside, but it has no other exits. So I have no clue how people managed to do that. This room was sealed off by magic or something, I don't know. Anyways, this bow is our way out of prison. We just kind of stand on top of this table and do this, and just a bit more wiggling, and now I'm out of the prison cell. Another reload there to make sure that I can actually walk around properly. And now you're supposed to open this blue gate on the left, but instead I'm just gonna clip through this door over here like that. And now I'm gonna do some more climbing. You're actually never supposed to be in this room right here. You're only supposed to be in here during a cutscene. That's why it still looks fleshed out, but it's so easy to get out of bounds in that room. And now I need to hit another loading trigger over here. Give me the loading trigger. Come on. Yeah, there we go. I can tell that I hit the trigger because the lighting changed. In this next part, if I went through this gate normally, there would be a bunch of enemies spawning in right here. But because I clipped in here, none of the enemies spawn. And then again, I'm gonna clip through here for much the same reasons. Because otherwise enemies would spawn. And now a helicopter turns up and Lara and Jacob, who we've not really... I mean, he was kind of in the cell next to Lara and then I just abandoned him. But it seems that he managed to get out by himself, so that worked out, I guess. Anyways, the helicopter shot at us, Lara ended up in the ice-cold water and... yeah. For some reason right now, Lara can actually hold her breath for way longer than at any other time during the game. And that always kind of annoyed me. Because it's like, Lara, you can clearly hold your breath for this long, but at any other point when you try to swim through a section where you would need to hold your breath for that long, Lara just drowns. Lara's actually terrible at holding her breath in this game, by the way. In Shadow, they actually did that way better. Like in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, she can actually hold her breath for like a pretty realistic amount of time. Almost too long. I guess she learned from her mistake in Rise and actually did some breathing practice or something. Oh, no, I know that like 10 minutes is stupid long time to hold your breath. That's not really realistic. But in this game, she can't even hold her breath for like 30 seconds. I mean, pretty much anybody can hold their breath for like a minute, at least. I mean, like, from somebody who's as athletic as Lara is, I would expect like 3 minutes of breath holding, to be honest. Also, yeah, right there we got pulled out of the water by Jacob, and we're supposed to meet him in the copper mill, which is over on the right. But I know a shortcut to the mines, which is where he really wants us to go. Also, I somehow got stuck there. Whatever. So instead, I'm just gonna climb the mountain in a faster way. So yeah, what I'm doing right now, we call a skywalk. This trick was actually discovered in Tomb Raider 2013. But it also works in Rise, and it worked on the early patches of Shadow, but it doesn't work on the current patch of Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Sadly. And right now I'm sitting down at this campfire and getting a pistol, because as you can see right now, Lara's actually holding nothing. And that's because when we got sent to prison, they actually took our pistol from us, and I never got the pistol back, so Lara is just holding nothing instead of the pistol when I use that pistol. But luckily I can switch to a different pistol, and that one Lara still has. I also, before sitting down at that campfire, I opened a strongbox that you're supposed to open way later in the game, and that contained the broadhead climbing arrows, which are gonna be used a bit later in the run. Right now I need to hit a loading trigger. Okay, I did hit it. The way I know I hit it is because it says abandoned mines atop across the middle of the screen. Oh, also, I should have mentioned this earlier, but I have the game set to Portuguese because it's one of the fastest languages. The fastest language is actually German, but I grew kind of tired of having the game in German all the time, so I switched over to Portuguese. Also, the differences in speed between any of the languages in this game aren't actually that significant. So even on the slowest language, you can still easily get world record at the moment. I think it's like less than 8 seconds difference from slowest time to fastest time. And right here there's a semi-new skip, which is kind of precise. I need to... Okay, I got it first try. That's actually very good. So right there, you're supposed to push a minecart to the bottom of this and use that to jump up, but instead you can do that. And now I'm also gonna skip, like usually you're supposed to call down this elevator right here and use that to climb up, but instead you can just climb up like that. That went surprisingly well. And yeah, if you do that fast enough, none of the enemies in that area spot you, as you might have just noticed. Right here, that guy will always spot me, because that's why I take him out with an arrow. And now I just need to clip up right here. Usually you're supposed to take a huge round throughout this entire area. Ah, man. Okay, right there, that guy spotted me because I clipped part of the way up the wall and then fell back down, and falling down is actually considered very noisy by the game, and it'll alert enemies. Usually he doesn't spot you, he always looks away from you. Okay, okay, there we go. So yeah, usually you're supposed to take a whole detour through this place on the right side, but this clipping up here skipped all of that. And now this is a small time save that I'm hopefully gonna... Nope, I messed it up. Okay, I'm not gonna go for that again. What I was trying to do there is save a bit of time. That's like a pretty difficult skip that only saves like 8 seconds. Like not this one right here. This up clip saves way more than 8 seconds. But what I did here, like jumping off in that direction. Oh, what? Well, so much for saving time. Lara just didn't grab that rope. This is going great. Usually Lara does grab ropes. I'm not sure why she just didn't there. Let's try that again. This time with more grabbing the rope. Come on, Lara, please. There we go. But yeah, like the skip that I was trying to do the first time would have skipped like this cutscene right here. And also this climbing. But sadly I did not manage to do it. Anyways. I'm closing in on the end of the mines here. Now I just need to push this minecart into position. Come on. Right there, while I was waiting for that big bucket to fill up with water, I actually went to the back and got some more wood and crafted some extra arrows. I will actually need those arrows relatively. Like I will need a lot of ammo, or not a lot, but I will need a decent amount of ammo a bit later in the game. So I need to make sure that I get a decent amount of arrows before the late game. That's why I made sure to craft some arrows there. Right here, I'm again gonna clip through a wall. Let's hope. Yeah, no, that was not it. This is kind of precise. There we go. So right here, the game wants you to dive out of this area, but instead you can go over top. Nah, that doesn't matter. Instead you can go over top. The only thing is the loading, like the kind of loading trigger for the next area is like inside of these caves, and by avoiding the caves, the game kind of isn't sure where I actually am. At least it doesn't know which area I'm in, which is why this area looks like this. And in a few seconds you will actually see the area disappear completely from view, like that. And Lara disappeared as well, of course. And that's because the game actually doesn't know that I'm in this area. But sitting down at this campfire makes the game realize that I'm here. But I still need to reload checkpoint in order for it to fully load this area properly. Other than that, that skip just basically let me skip the entirety of the geothermal valley. I just went to which is basically the last campfire in this area, and now I'm actually going backwards with respect to what you're supposed to do when you play this game casually. So this is actually the exit of the flooded archives that I'm currently entering. And normally you wouldn't even be able to get here at this point in the game, but because of the out of bounds that I did... Oh, well, let's try that again. I'm able to get here. But there's a diving section right here that I actually can't get through because I don't have the rebreather, and I would have to hold my breath for way too long. Luckily though, I can just clip out of bounds, and the water of that diving section extends super far out of bounds, so I can just swim across. instead of having to dive. Now I need to get back inbounds because the water actually ends right here. And then this is why I picked up the climbing arrows earlier. This right here is actually an optional area, or it's supposed to be an optional area that you come back to later after you already finished the area that I'm in. But it just so happens that it lets you get right next to the intended I'm not sure what I'm saying right now. Whatever. That wasn't right. Anyways, I'm now where I'm supposed to be way later. So effectively, what I've done is I've just skipped 2 entire maps in the game because I went into this map backwards. The thing is though that the game currently thinks that I'm supposed to do something else than I'm doing right now, and it actually, like, a lot of the areas that I need to go into for the late game, they actually wouldn't load even if I went to where the entrance to that area is right now. So the reason why I go here is because there's actually a story progress trigger in this area that's coupled to a cutscene. So as soon as the next cutscene that I'm about to... Thank you. So as soon as the next cutscene plays that I'm about to trigger... Okay, not actually the next cutscene, not these small cutscenes right here. But the cutscene where the statue falls all the way over. I'm actually gonna update the game's story progress, and then the game is gonna think that I already finished all of the other maps that I never entered. I feel like that was a terrible explanation, but hey. So yeah, this cutscene right here will update my story progress. Also, right here I'm actually gonna pause the game and unpause and do some menuing. And now I just open the quick travel menu during the cutscene. And now the screen goes black. And it looks like I've softlocked, but I didn't. Now Lara dies. And now I respawn back at this campfire. Okay, I guess I'll just get some skill points. This is kind of weird. I guess I'll stand back up and go back. Oh. Yeah, so what I did there during that cutscene is I actually, while the cutscene was going on, I sat down at the campfire and went into the quick travel menu. And I selected this campfire right here to quick travel to. And usually what happens as soon as you quick travel to some place is that Lara stands up from the campfire that she's currently sitting at, and as soon as she stands up, it'll actually trigger the quick travel. But because the cutscene was going on at the same time, like, the cutscene ending kind of pulled Lara out of the campfire without her actually standing up. So the game, at that point, the game still thought that it needed to do the quick travel, but I was out of the campfire and the cutscene had triggered. And oh god, this is difficult to explain. So I needed the cutscene to finish in order for the story progress to update. But as soon as the cutscene finishes, you're not allowed to quick travel anymore, which is why I needed to start the quick travel before the cutscene finished by doing the menuing required for the quick travel. while the cutscene was still going on. I hope that made at least some amount of sense. It's a really confusing skip for sure. But I basically just stored the quick travel information, and then the next time I sat down at a campfire and stood up, it just executed the quick travel. Whoa.
Sim, eu tô na antiga usina de cobre, de frente pro Gulag. Estou prestes a ir atrás do John. Eu conheço esse lugar. Nós escondemos algumas armas aí quando fomos atacados pela Trindade no passado. Elas podem ser úteis. Obrigada, Sophie.
That storing does work elsewhere, but you have to make sure that you get pulled out of the campfire before, like, you have to make sure that the campfire gets, like, interrupted by you sitting at the campfire needs to get interrupted. That can happen either because a cutscene happens at the same time, but that cutscene is the only one that we know of that you can actually trigger at the same time that you're sitting at the campfire. Or you can do it by actually killing Nara while she's sitting down at the campfire. And you can do that by just shooting a poison arrow at a campfire and then sitting down at the campfire. The poison will slowly kill Lara. And then she'll fall over dead, and it'll kind of pull you out of the campfire, but you'll still be able to menu through the campfire after that. We don't currently use that method in the speedrun, partially because we don't ever get the poison arrows. But we've considered using it for 100%, but we haven't found an application for it yet. Anyway, oh god damn it, I accidentally went through this gap. I'm not supposed to go through this. I mean, casually you're supposed to, like, go through this cave and everything. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna clip up here when the game lets me. Thank you. Ah, or not. Wow. The game doesn't like me right now. Okay, now I'm up here. But the thing is, right now, Lara is actually on top of this. But the camera, as you can see, is still kind of stuck down below. So I need to get the camera back to Lara by going over here. And now I'm actually on top of the cave that I was just inside of. So I get to skip all of the platforming that you're supposed to do inside of the cave. And it actually gets even better because I get to skip this entire area. All of it. Like, to the right of me right now is actually inbounds. This, as you might have guessed, is out of bounds. Also, yes, learning this skip right here is as confusing as it looks. There is a lot of trees in your face when you do it. But it is actually possible to keep track of where you're going during this skip. You just need to learn it. Right there I had to hit a loading trigger so the rest of this area loaded in properly. Because otherwise, right here there would have been nothing and I just would have walked on air. Or at least it would have looked like I walked on air, and then the later part of this area wouldn't have been there at all. Not even invisibly. Now I need to jump onto this broken roof. And okay, good. And yeah, I'm still out of bounds. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just going along the side of this area. So instead of doing all the things that you're usually supposed to do to get through this area, I'm just going along the edge of the map pretty much and hitting a bunch of loading triggers in order to make sure that the rest of the map loads in. There's also a few death planes here, so I need to be careful to not jump in the wrong place. And then this hall, this big building in front of me is actually the very end of this map. And it has holes in its roof that I need to be careful not to fall into. Okay. And then this right here is the end of this map. So I just skipped basically the entirety of this map as well by just going along the outside. I just need to do this fight right here because it's a required story progression. Let me just take out everybody in this fight. That didn't go too well. Okay, this is not going too well. My aim is terrible. Okay, I managed to take everybody out. But that didn't go too well. The first explosion, like the first explosive that I threw, is supposed to take out way more people than it did. But I managed to do it without dying, so it's still pretty fast. But I lost a lot of ammo, which might be a problem later. Because I need a few bullets and arrows for the final fight of this game. If I don't have any, it's gonna be really slow. Let's see. Oh, I only have one pistol bullet. That is not good. But I can work with it. So yeah, now Lara is on her way into the Lost City. We just found out that this is how you get there. And this area that I'm currently in, the Orrery, it basically consists of a huge platforming puzzle. And it's really slow to do the casual way because there's a lot of waiting for platforms to move into the right position involved. But luckily the developers left a small gap in their invisible walls right here. So I can just jump out of bounds like this, go under the map, swim over here, and then this right underneath me is actually the exit of this map. So again, I can skip the entire map by just going out of bounds. And right here, because the exit of the map is right underneath the entrance, I don't even have to walk particularly long way. Right now I have to wait for the next area to load in. Yep, like that. And that was that map. So that's the Orrery done. I hope you enjoyed not seeing it. I certainly did. Here I'm gonna place an arrow right there. And then I'm gonna climb this wall, and hopefully Lara's gonna grab the arrow and not the ledge. Okay, yeah, she did. Now I'm gonna jump over here, and these enemies, they don't mind Lara at all. You're not usually supposed to be able to be up here, so those enemies are not programmed to even notice you. They just walk along. Right there, I needed to hit a trigger in order to make sure that I get an item that I've actually never gotten. But yeah, what I just did right there, so that might have just looked like I did some out-of-bounds platforming. But in the middle of that, I actually hit a certain trigger, and for some reason that we don't understand, that trigger gives you the grapple. Like so far, I didn't have the grapple, but I need it later on, and that trigger just conveniently gives the grapple to me. Also, some more platforming. Nice! I actually managed to get that jump. That's kind of a fast but stupid alternate to a much more consistent strat that we usually do there. Now I need to clip up here. Like, no! Not like that. Like that. And now I'm on top of this area here. Usually you're supposed to be way down below here and fight a bunch of enemies. But that's super slow. And fighting also takes ammo, and I don't have any ammo, so what I'm gonna do instead is just skip all of this. And what you just saw me do right there, you might have thought that that looked like a way too far of a drop for Lara to survive without dying, and you would be right. Usually you can't survive that drop, but I used a melee slide, which I'll explain in a second. I used a melee slide to basically cancel all my fall damage. And you can do a melee slide in this game by doing a melee attack and then aiming at the very end of that melee attack. It's usually frame perfect, but if you bind aim to your mouse wheel and then just scroll the mouse wheel at the end of the melee attack, you can just get that to happen. And during a melee slide, Lara just gets stuck in the last frame of her melee animation, and she just keeps sliding forward, and she'll ignore all fall damage.
Eu vejo você do outro lado.
And now I've actually entered the last area of this game, the Lost City, and that thing you can see glowing in the distance is Lara's ultimate goal. It's where we want to go. And we'll actually get there way more quickly than the developers intended, because you see that gate over there is currently open. And that is indeed where we want to go, like this gate right in front of me. That's glowing ominously. But as soon as you reach it, it just gets slammed shut in front of you. And then they want you to take over that trebuchet and break down this gate, but what's much faster is just to clip into the gate, hit a checkpoint, and then you reload that checkpoint, and now I'm on the other side of the gate anyway, so I didn't even need to do any of that. Now there's another gate like that over there, and you're supposed to go over there, use that trebuchet to break it down, but instead I can do another skywalk here to get out of bounds again. And now I'll just take the scenic route around that gate. And this is actually only the first half of the scenic route. This is the ground route. We're actually gonna learn to fly soon, and then it's gonna get even more scenic. At least I hope I'll be able to fly soon. I've been having some trouble with that lately. But first, the ground part of the scenic route. So yeah, this is where you would usually get to on the other side of that gate. Just need to climb back in bounds here, sit down at this campfire in order to make sure this area loads properly. And now I can keep going like I didn't even skip anything. So yeah, for reference, that's the gate that I just skipped by doing this out of bounds. And now I'm gonna stand over here, and this is actually why I want the grapple. So I'm gonna throw it. No, that's not quite right. That might have been it. No. So I'm gonna throw it while I'm in the air at this ledge. This is gonna take a few attempts. It's frame perfect. So, nah, that was too early. Nope. Nope. Nah. Nope. Still not. That might have... Nope. Taking me a bit longer than usual right now, but it doesn't matter too much. It's gonna be awesome once I get this. I just need to not mistime it. I'm running at 100 FPS, so it's kind of hard to hit this frame perfect trick. But usually it only takes me like 5 attempts and not... What am I on right now? 15 or something? Oh, come on. Please. Okay, having issues right now. That was it. There we go. So yeah, I just triggered another airwalk. The way I did that is I threw the grapple onto that climbable ledge, and Lara landed on the ground at the same time. And when you do that, the game gets kind of confused whether you're actually like grappling onto the ledge or not. And so it kind of prevents you from losing any height, but you're still able to walk around. The only problem is right now I actually cannot jump, because as soon as I jump, I lose this airwalk and I'll no longer be airwalking. So I need to do a lot of maneuvering right now without jumping, which is why I'm not jumping up this hill right here. Instead, I'll be clipping up it like this by just repeatedly switching back and forth between the bow and my pistol. Come on. There we go. Now I can walk a bit. Now some more weapon switching. So yeah, right now Lara turned invisible again. That always happens when you're too far out of bounds. But yeah, I promised you the scenic route. Here you go. This is the even more scenic route. If I could, I would look over to the right now to show you the nice view of the city, but I kind of need to focus on where I'm going. So sorry, but that I can't do that. But yeah, because I have the airwalk, I can now just walk all the way over to the end of this area. And this actually skips a lot of climbing and a lot of fighting. Like the area that you can see to the left of me right here, you would actually have to fight a bunch of enemies right there, and that was the main reason why we even needed heals in this run. But now with this new skip, we can just skip all of that. Just needed to sit down at this campfire in order to make the rest of this area load in. And now all I have left to do is fight the final boss and his minions, I guess. Oh, didn't get the quick climb. So yeah, that helicopter, that's Constantine in that helicopter, and he is a huge troll. In fact, this entire fight sequence is just out to get you. The better your run is, the worse it will go. So let's see how badly it goes this time. Something I should mention is that the enemies in this fight, as long as you're fast enough, the enemies here will always spawn in the same locations. So I actually know perfectly where all the enemies are gonna spawn. Oh, whoops. I just need to not miss. So that should have been it. I can actually leave 2 enemies alive. So right now it should fade out in a second or two. It should, that is. But it doesn't. That's pretty good. Maybe it'll fade out now. Oh my, there we go, see? It's fading out. You can leave 2 enemies alive and it'll still fade out. This part right here is probably the most trolly bit of the entire boss fight, because this helicopter is just, it's awful. It can one-shot you if you're unlucky. It'll just move super erratically, and it's generally a pain to deal with. But I successfully managed to manipulate it into a nice pattern. Also, in case you're wondering how I keep being able to take out all these enemies so quickly, there's an infinite stash of explosive arrows right there, and I just use that to keep replenishing my explosive arrows and take out all the enemies. Nah, well, sometimes Lara doesn't want to actually pick up the explosive arrows though, which is a pain. Also someone using wallpaper engine. There is a fast kill for this phase of the helicopter. If I shoot it with 5 explosive arrows, I'll actually be able to take it down way more quickly than normal. Come on, please, please. It's not cooperating at all. One more. Come on. There we go. Okay, I actually managed to do it. That was not the fastest it could have been, but I managed to hit it with all explosive arrows. Oh, boy. Oh. Please. Where is the archer? Where did the archer go? Oh, there he is. Okay. Now there's enemies gonna spawn over there, and one of them is gonna land right here. Oh, what? Okay. I'm taking most of these enemies out with those fires, because that fire is actually the only thing in this arena that's capable of one-shotting those enemies. So what I did for most of the melee enemies is just I bait them under the fire and then I shoot it so it drops on them. Luckily it doesn't one-shot me, so it doesn't matter if the fire hits me. And then this right here is Constantine. He's generally a pain to deal with, but if I did it right, he'll turn around right now. Yeah. So I threw that can, and for some reason the can landing on the other side of the arena convinces him that Lara must be over there. So he just turns around, and then I'm able to sneak up behind him and kill him. Which is very nice, because his AI is actually a pain to deal with. He literally has wall hacks. If you're too close to him and hiding behind something, he will still see you. He will just know where you are. Which is pretty unfair. But yeah, that's time. Right here. Sorry I didn't call that out earlier. Totally forgot. What's that? That's 102.36. Well, 38. Whatever. That's a pretty good run. Some things took me a while, but I think that went pretty well overall. I hope I was able to explain things in a manner that is not too confusing. And I hope you guys enjoyed the run. Shoutouts to the Tomb Runner community. If you want to check out this speedrun or any other Tomb Raider speedrun, just go to speedrun.com and the Discord is linked there. You can join that and people will help you out with learning the run. Anyways, thank you all for watching and enjoy the next run.